and another 72 hours in the books. Can you believe it? That's right, 72 hours in this week's fast, and you are getting ready to see me eat the first meal for the fast. At the end of the fast, I've got some things down here we're going to take a look at here in just a minute as we walk into this week's conversation on how to prepare for a fast. How do you get through a fast successfully? And then, of course, how do you break the fast? Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. If you're new to me, welcome to our platform. Welcome to the channel. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We are creating the life we've always wanted, and we're living those limitless lives. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new also in the comments, because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that I am happy. I am glad that you are here hanging out with us in the space. And we're going to be taking a look at what's been going on with my blood sugars. I've got my monitors off to the side. I've got my report down below me. So here's my Keto Mojo and my contour that we'll take a look at. And then right down here, you'll see that is my Dexcom Clarity Report. We'll take a look at what's been happening with my blood sugar. If you have been with us, if you've been on the channel, you've seen what we've been doing as we have had several of our tools available to you that you can get involved with. All right, of course, here we've got the show. We've got Dwain Woode MD Live that comes on every Monday. And then we do our check-ins on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But we've added another component to that, and we do a check-in on Tuesday and Wednesday during the day, right about 1:30. So I start my fast about 1:15, 1:30-ish on Tuesday after my meeting at work, and you get to see what I eat as my last meal. So if you've not been to that space, come on and join us on Tuesdays. And then, of course, Wednesdays we do our check-in. During the course of the week, we do our check-ins in the evening, usually around 9 o'clock, where you get to see what's been going. We do some teaching, we do some conversation. We have a good time as we are walking through the path together. But on the channel also have been the series that we have been pushing called Metabolic Optimization via Exercise, MOVE. We're moving. We started out with our 100-day walk to consistency, and we are in the strength, strategy, and mindset phase of this, and you get to see, if you've not joined us yet, make sure you come join us. We are doing some exercises, we're doing some dumbbell presses, and we're doing some squats and some other things that help our bodies as we are talking about strength training and making sure that we're doing what we need to do metabolically. Remember, the Limitless Living Health Action Plan is a plan that requires your movement. It requires your involvement. So all the things that we're doing is with the intention of giving you all the tools that you need to be metabolically active and metabolically successful. So make sure that you join us for that. We are on day 64 of the strength, strategy, and mindset. And of course, the 100-day walk to consistency is out there on the channel. You can go back and you can join that. So don't think that you've missed out. Start where you are. You can go back and start watching through that. You can catch up to where we are as you're bringing yourself forward by looking at some of those past episodes. All of that is with, like I said, the intention of making sure that you are becoming metabolically active and you're setting yourself up for the best possibility of success. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. And here is what my Freestyle Libre says that I am right now, and this is the Libre 3. I think this is a 3 Plus, and you see down there at the bottom that it says I've got about 24 hours before the sensor ending. But we're looking at this number right here, and that is what my blood sugar is at this moment according to this particular continuous monitor. And then down below here, you'll see that's where my blood sugar has been running. And you'll see right now it's running right below 100. It's ran below 100 earlier in the day, and then it spiked up right about 6:30. in the morning, and then now it's on its way back down. If I look at my Dexcom Clarity, kind of same idea right there. That's my blood sugar, is what the Clarity says that my average is, or my blood sugar is right now. And then down below here, that is the graph that we're taking a look at. And you see, similar to what we had before. So here we're in the low 100s into last night, and then coming into the morning, right about 6:30-ish this morning, we spiked up and we started out, look at that, right below 100 at 5:43, and then right about here we start spiking up. We got up to, let's see, what's the highest that we got there? So 143, and then started coming back down to where we are right now. Okay, let's go ahead and look at my monitors, because that will give us some additional information. So let's look at these again. So 91 for the Freestyle Libre and 116 for the Dexcom. And then let's go ahead and take a look at my monitors here. Let's see, let's make sure I have the right strips. Okay, so I've got a blue one, I've got a brown one, and I've got to replenish that here in a minute. And I have a Lancet, right? Lancet will give me my drop of blood, and here is the strip for the contour. The strip for the contour. So let's get that in, and we'll see what these monitors are saying my blood sugars are compared to the Freestyle Libre and the Dexcom. So go ahead, we're going to open this one up. This is the brown strip is the one that gives me blood sugar, and I'm going to put that in, but I'm also going to go ahead and grab this one and start it opening, because as you guys know, when you've botched, this is the one that actually gives me the more trouble. So okay, I've got that out, so just hanging out there. And then here is my Lancet, and let's get a finger, and we're gonna get right about there, and ow, 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 ow. Hopefully that gives me a good drop, and not as brisk as I wanted, but it's gonna be enough, right? So there we go. So we'll get that one started. Go ahead and do this one, and while we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and put the monitors back up on the screen. So 88 for the contour, and 100 for, 88 for the Keto Mojo, 100 for the contour, and of course right there you see that the Libre says I'm 93. So they're all, what's that, within 10-15 points of each other. Now let's go ahead and take this strip out, and this is my ketones, and let's go ahead and get that one going. And I want to make sure I don't let that drop of blood dry. Okay, no. So I got it. I'm always that one is always the one that concerns me, because if it dries, then I have to poke myself again, which I do not like to do. Which is why I like the continuous monitor. So let's see. So ketones are 0.3. Look at that. Look at that. And so one of the challenges that, as you guys know, that I've had is that that morning spike that I get, and I think as small as that is sometimes, like this morning, I think it spiked up to 140 some. I think that really affects this number. So I've got to find a way to mitigate that. All right, so here we are. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the blood sugar based on my Clarity report. So let's hop over there now. And so here is my blood sugar report. Let's take a look at those. And you'll see there that my average is 121. And that's for 14 days, over the last 14 days. My glucose management indicator, 6.2. And I'm in target 100% of the time, according to this, with my target being between 70 to 180. One of the comments here that I want to make is that this number, the 70 to 180, is a number that we have come up with, and I say we as a community, the medical community has come up with, but we really know that the normal blood sugar, a normal blood sugar is actually between 70 and 99. So this is what's considered normal. Okay, so when you are shooting for blood sugars, those are normal numbers. And the reason I want to make that point is that there are times when I have people that will say to me, well, my number is in the green. And when I look at the average blood sugar, their average blood sugar is sitting up here at like 170, 180. Okay, so 170, 180 is allowable based on the safety and the parameters that we give, but it is not a normal number. Right, so a normal number is 70 to 99. So if you're talking about where we need to be in terms of what our body is expecting, it is 70 to 99. So just because I've set the target or the range to 70 to 180, your body doesn't know that we've agreed that. Your body doesn't know that we've decided that. It's still expecting 70 to 99. All right, and if I change this now to 90 days, you'll see that my average will drop a little bit. So here it is, a 115, and my glucose management indicator is 6.0, with my target, or my target time in range is 98%, target being the same. Okay, all right. Now let's take a look at the actual reports of my blood sugar over the course of the last 72 hours. And so here we are right here at 119, which is where we are here at the 72-hour mark. And let's scroll backwards and see where my blood sugar is. So right now it's coming down to 119 to where it is. And going backwards, you see right here, we were hovering 100 to 98. And this is what I call the toothpaste effect right in here, right around 6 o'clock. On average is where I get up, that's when I start doing my morning routine. And invariably you'll see that my blood sugar will spike up to about 130, 140. Now, one of the things here to understand about ketones is if there is insulin, if insulin has to come out, right, which is, it has to come out here so that the blood sugars start to go down. Once the insulin comes out, ketones go away. Okay, and that's why when we talk about fasting, one of the reasons that we say we're not having any calorie-containing foods, we're not having any carb-containing foods, because once the blood sugar spikes up, insulin has to show up to bring that blood sugar down, right? So you may have to, you don't take insulin for that, right? The body produces it, but that insulin negates ketones. All right, so going backwards, and so into the morning, you'll see there that we are 80s and 90s, and then scrolling backwards, last night, you see we were 80s and 90s for most of the evening, 80s, 90s, 80s, 90s. Now this one here dropped down, I think, to 68. That was probably an error, probably a disconnection or something happened with the sensor itself. But for the rest of the day, 80s and 90s, 80s and 90s, low 100s, going backwards, and right here again, right in the morning. So I came into the morning with blood sugars of 110s, and then right about 6 o'clock, there it is. That's that toothpaste effect, and you see that kind of climbing up. And that time it got up to about 128, I think was the highest that we got. Okay, so let's go back here. So here is 72 hours. Going backwards, that's now 48 hours. Going backwards, that's 24 hours. And you see that whole time we were in the 90s, low 100s, low 100s. Coming into the morning, we were in the low 110s. Once again, right at about 6 o'clock. And you see we get that spike up, and this time I think it went up to 138 right there. So for some people that is a frustrating point that they come into the morning good and then the blood sugar spike up without them doing anything. It is a thing that happens, so you see that there. Okay, and now going back to time 0, right when we were about to start the fast. right in here. We were 119, I think was what we said that we're at 119, right about there. And so now from that point, if you did not see the meal that I ate, the last meal that I ate prior to starting the fast, you want to go back and take a look at that. So 119, and then I started eating, or I ate, and so I want you to look at the blood sugars after eating. You'll see that we spiked up. I think we got up to about 140 was the highest. Right, so 119, and then we actually started coming back down. Actually, we didn't get that high. I think the next day we did. Right, so 1 teens, 1 teens, 1 teens, 1 teens, and then going into the next morning, which is what we just looked at, and then coming into the morning, and then right about 6 o'clock we spiked up again, and then we come down, 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 down into the 80s and 90s, going into the next morning, and we see that same pattern, right, where we come into the morning with 1 teens and then spike up into the 120s, 130s, and then for the rest of the day we continue going down. So that is an example, right, in relatively real time of what those blood sugars are. So I want you to see what happens at the fast, right? So what do we eat prior to the fast? What goes on in the fast? And then, of course, you see what the blood sugars are here, and we'll take a look at that continually, because I want you to get into the habit of understanding the things that are going on in your body when you're eating and when you're not eating. And the idea is that the things that we eat, that balanced bites that we talk about, the foods that we eat, we need to, in the process of thinking about food, there is a way that we think about food, right? So whole foods, minimized processing, no added sugar, lean protein, healthy fats, starchy, non-starchy vegetables, portion control, and so forth. And I want to reiterate to everybody that it's not a diet, it's not a fad, it's not a challenge, it is your thought process about food. It is the way that we think about food. And if you are following that process, if you are following that model, then your blood sugars you will have relatively good blood sugar. You won't get those big spikes. Now, let me say this. It is not designed to be shackles. It's not designed for confinement. It's not designed to beat you over the head. Because you know what? On your birthday, on your anniversary, on Thanksgiving, on Christmas, on whatever holiday comes up, you're going to eat something that probably will bring your blood sugars much higher than that. You get a spike much higher than you're seeing here. I'm going to eat something that's going to get a spike higher than that. Why? Because I want to eat that thing. Because mama made it, cousin made it, we're getting together, we are in the space, we are fellowshipping together, we're making connections, and in that instance, I am going to make a decision that thing that's right there, I'm going to eat it. Why? Because on the rest of the time, on my eating, I am doing the job of eating balanced bites. That doesn't mean that thing does not fit into my meal plan. My birthday fits into my meal plan. My anniversary is actually coming up tomorrow. And the cake that we're going to have, or whatever it is going to be, fits into my meal plan because I have added that into what I do. Remember, the plan is that you get to control it. You get to say, this is how I am going to function. I have a plan for how I'm going to manage the spikes in my blood sugar. I have a plan for how I'm going to manage my weight. I have a plan for how I'm going to manage my blood pressure and my cholesterol. I have a plan. If you have a plan that is successful, by the way, then there is absolutely no reason why on your birthday, on your anniversary, or when the family gets together, that you cannot enjoy the things that are in front of you. But if every other day you're snacking on cookies, candies, cakes, and pop, and the blood sugars are out of control, then of course on those days, now the brain says, well, man, I've been doing this all the time and my blood sugars are high. I probably shouldn't eat that. Notice what happens. It is not the fact that that thing at the time is bad. It's that the way we eat all the time is not consistent with who and what we say we want. And so then when that occasion comes up, we're like, man, and right. So we go through this whole thing in our head. So Balanced Bites is designed to be your way of thinking about food on a regular basis. And built into that is the thing that I'm going to eat. Like I tell you, put my hand up. I love chocolate. Not love. Actually, if I had to pick something that I would say food, it would probably be carrot cake, by the way. You guys have not heard me talk about carrot cake because I've not had carrot cake in a long time. All right, so Ben & Jerry's ice cream, carrot cake, and Cadbury chocolate. That's it right there. Okay? All right. So let's see. Let's go ahead and let's hop into our conversation as we talk about what we're doing with our fasting. And so let me make a couple of points before we head over there. One is that the fasting that we're doing is a part of our Limitless Living Health Action Plan. It is a part of the plan that we have on the way that we are reversing our metabolism or improving our metabolism, reversing our diabetes, and all those metabolic things that we talk about. So the fasting, once again, it is not a fad. It is not I'm doing this as a challenge for 2 weeks, or I'm doing this for 90 days. It is the pattern of behavior. It's the pattern of eating. It's the pattern of tools that we're using as a part of what we're doing to improve our metabolism. Remember, Limitless Living, that health action plan that we talked about, there are several components to that. And part of that is fasting. Let me put that up so we can reiterate those. So remember, walking and fasting, tier 1. Balanced Bites and strength training, tier 2. Rest and recovery, along with mental mastery, tier 3. And what we've been talking about this week and last week is the underpinnings or the scaffolding that helps it all stay together, and that is the structure and planning. And so what we're doing now is we are saying, how do we fast successfully? What does that look like? How do we get into that? How do we prepare for that? What goes on in my body, and then how do we end that fast? And you will get to see here what I'm going to eat for my ending of my fast. I've got it here. And we're the last couple of weeks we've done the food first, and then we went into the rest. I'm gonna do it the other way today. We're gonna get into the discussion, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what I'm going to eat to end the fast. And by the way, for those of you who are out there, if you have something that you would like me to try as my meal for the fast, you can go ahead and drop us a message, and we will try to do that. Last 2 weeks, actually, last week we ate something that was inspired by one of our community members, and then the salad that I ate was also inspired by another one of our community members. But let's go ahead and let's hop into our discussion here about fasting, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more. All right, so the fasting review. What do I need to know? What do I need to know about fasting? And the first point that I want to make here for everyone is that fasting is not a punishment. Right? Fasting is not a punishment. Fasting is your decision. It is your decision to use this as a tool to improve your metabolism, and it is the voluntary abstention from in our case, calorie-containing foods. Let me say that again. It is your choice. It is your decision that I am going to, for a period of time, not take in anything that gives calories or that gives carbs, right? Those are calories, carbs, so that my body begins to rest, so that all of the downstream metabolic benefits that we talk about, that we'll see, can happen. It's kind of like, what is it kind of like? It's kind of like you deciding, you know what? We want to buy a house. And in order for us to buy a house, we need to have X number of dollars. And so for the next pick a time, we are going to save money so that we have enough built up so we can buy a house. Make sense so far? Awesome. Well, in order for us to save that money, there are some things along the way that we would want to do, but we are not going to do, because if we do those things, we will not get the benefit of having saved the money. So I want to buy a pair of shoes, but guess what? Right now, the money for the shoes, I'm putting it in the pot with the, hey, we're saving money. We want to buy a new car, but we're going to drive this car because right now we're putting money in the pot for the house. We want to go on this trip, but right now we're not going on the trip because we want to buy the house. And if I go on the trip, the money that I would spend for the trip can't be directed to the house money. So I'm making a decision down here that on the path, I'm going to not do some things because I'm making a choice on where I'm putting my resources. And my resources right now say that they're going to the house. So I want you to get that analogy. So that our fasting is putting money in the pot, essentially. So there are some things that we want to happen in our body. And because we want that benefit, we are willing, as we go through the day, go through the week, to make some choices that allow me to get to the benefit that I want. I am making the decision. Nobody's making the decision for me. Like, nobody comes to your house and forces you to not buy the shoes because you're saving for the house. Nobody comes to your house and tells you, hey, don't buy the car because that money you can put down. You made that decision. And just like you made the decision, you can make the decision, you know what? I'm not interested in that car anymore. Or that house anymore. Or I'm willing to delay the house because there's some other things over here I want. You make the decision. And I want that point and I'm spending some time on that today because that is perhaps one of the most underrated, misunderstood parts of fasting. Because people will say to you, oh, why are you starving yourself? It's not starvation. I'm choosing not to eat. People are saying, well, it won't hurt to do such and such. Well, it may not hurt to do such and such, but right now I'm trying to put all of the money I have in excess to buy the house. So no, it's not going to hurt me to buy the shoe or buy this or buy that. It's not going to hurt. But I won't get the benefit as soon as I think or as soon as I want it. It is personal choice. And that's what limitless living says, that I am not allowing anything outside of me or anything inside of me to prevent me from doing what I need to do. I am not allowing it. And so I am doing all the things I need to do so I could be in the space so that I can be successful. Okay? So fasting. So that with that as a backdrop, understanding what we're doing and understanding why we're doing it is important. And the why we're doing this is because, And let me go through the list. It's because I am interested in improving my health. I'm interested in lowering my blood pressure. I'm interested in lowering my cholesterol. I'm interested in lowering my weight. I'm interested in getting better blood sugars, getting my A1C down. I'm interested in decreasing my chances of coronary artery disease or heart attacks or strokes or peripheral artery disease. I'm interested in getting rid of my fatty liver. I'm interested in treating my polycystic ovarian syndrome. I'm interested in improving my inflammation. I'm interested in strengthening my immune system. I'm interested in decreasing my chances of getting certain cancers. I'm interested in decreasing my chances of getting type 3 diabetes, also known as dementia or Alzheimer's disease, or any of those neurodegenerative diseases. I'm interested in improving my neuropathy. And I can go on and on and on. So the reason that I'm doing this, the reason we want to do this is because we're interested in getting this body in a way, in a position, so that I can get benefit for all of those things that I just named and even more. And those are just the metabolic, some of the metabolic benefits. We've not talked about mental clarity. We've not talked about muscle maintenance and building muscles. We've not talked about emotional resilience. We're not talking about spiritual connections. So all of those things are built into what goes on when we start fasting. So the reason we're fasting in this space, we talk about it. You say, hey, I want to talk to type 2 diabetics who want to reverse their diabetes, who want to get off of medication. Yes, that's true. But all of those other downstream things also happen when we fast. So that's the underpinnings of what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing, and understanding that is of utmost importance. When I talk about fasting, I talk about fasting in 3 different ways or 3 different components. And they are, how do we get into the fast? How do we go through the fast? And then how do we end the fast? So that's what's considered a successful fast. Right, for anything that you do, how do I do it? Or how do I get ready for it? How do I get through it? And then how do I get out of it? Right, so those are the things. An interesting point here to be made is that fasting is the rhythm now of your eating plan. I want you to get that. Fasting is in the middle. It is the hub for your eating plan. What does that mean? That means that I am having times in my day, well, not my day, times in my week when I'm fasting and when I'm not fasting. Those are the 2 things. It is the rhythm. And fasting is not an interruption of my eating. It is a part of my eating. I want you to notice the difference between those 2 thoughts. I'm not eating and then, I'm fasting, and then when I'm finished fasting, I get back to my regular. But fasting is a part of. It is in the middle of. It is a continuity of the way I eat. Okay? So preparing for the fast, getting through the fast, and then breaking the fast. And there are several things that we can talk about when we talk about preparing for the fast. And the reason that we prepare for the fast is that preparing for the fast is paramount. It is absolutely necessary, and it ultimately determines how successful we are downstream. Now, we can talk about physical, mental, emotional, and we can go on and on and on, but I want to spend some time talking about the physical preparation. The emotional, we spend a lot of time talking about it. I want to talk about the physical. And in particular, with the physical, I want to talk about the structure and the food that we eat. The structure and the food that we eat. You saw when I showed my numbers and showed my graphs that the food that I ate caused an increase in blood sugar, but the spike was not significant. So we went from a 119, I think we went up to 130 in the course of that graph that we looked at. Normal blood sugars are 70 to 99. Normal blood sugar is 70 to 99. That's for everybody on the planet. Whether you're diabetic or not, because sometimes people say, well, I'm a diabetic, so my normal is 120. No. That's what we've told you it could be. But your body is looking for 70 to 99. And anything above that causes damage. I'm pausing. So anything above 99 is causing damage. So our goal is to minimize the rise in blood sugar. We can, because of the way we eat, because of a bunch of stuff, we can never really get blood sugars that don't spike. Even if you're not diabetic, it's going to spike. Now, it doesn't spike as high as for a diabetic, but your blood sugar goes up. Pre-diabetes is a perfect example of a non-diabetic who's having spikes in their blood sugar. Because remember, those blood sugars are higher than normal, but not high enough to be considered diabetes. Right? So blood sugars are normal of 70 to 99. Pre-diabetic, a person who's considered pre-diabetic, is 100 to 125. And the challenge that we've had over the years, as we've in the medical community had been talking, is, wait a minute, you're telling me that somebody who's 99 is normal and somebody who's 100 is abnormal? Well, those numbers are so close together that I can almost imagine that the person who is 99, which is normal, probably is having some of the same issues as the person who's at 100 because they're so close together. So while we talk about ranges, the goal is not, okay, I'm 99, so I'm great. It is, okay, overall, how do I minimize the spike in my blood sugar? How do I minimize the spike in my blood sugar? Because anytime it spikes up, then I can have downstream issues. So the goal for fasting is we're not putting anything in. We're coming to that in a minute. But in the pre-fasting, in the times when I'm not fasting, the preparation for the last meal that we eat before the fast, and even the meals that we're eating in our regular, quote unquote, eating period, a eating window, those foods should also be of such that they're not causing big spikes in my blood sugar, because every time I get a spike, every time it goes up, every time it changes, I've got to have insulin come out. And every time insulin comes out, insulin is causing downstream problems. Because the foods that we eat and the way that we eat cause spikes in blood sugars that were not intended for the body. That's one of the reasons I don't really like the term pre-diabetes. Because when I say that, the person who's hearing that, they say to themselves, oh, I'm not diabetic. And it's almost like they breathe a sigh of relief. And in their heads, I don't have to do anything. Not the case. Okay? All right. So preparing for the fast, and talking physically now, right? So physically, getting rest, drinking water, getting your electrolytes in, right? Minimizing stress, all of those things, very important. Food, very important. So for that, let me go ahead and let me pop this up. So here's Balanced Bites. Whole foods first, Minimize the processed foods, no added sugar, lean protein, healthy fats, starchy, non-starchy vegetables, tasty, flavorful, portion controlled, right? So there it is. You see it right there. And I often want to couch this for people to help everyone understand that Balanced Bites is a freedom to think about food in a way that we have not been thinking about food before. Because remember, we use food for lots of different things. Like I just mentioned, anniversaries coming up, right? So connection, celebration. We're actually going to a memorial service later this weekend. We use it for comfort. We use it for enjoyment. We use it when we're sad. We use it when we're happy. We use it when we're frustrated, when we're anxious, right? We use it all the time. And food is probably the last socially acceptable vice. Like people will let you eat for comfort when they won't let you do other things, when they'll judge you for other things. But food, oh yeah. As a matter of fact, they'll bring you food. Man, I was down the street. I know you're not supposed to have this, but this stuff is so good. Hey, try this. And so our Balanced Bites has to be a thing that is in our psyche as we're thinking about food. Now, let's talk about what that looks like practically. So practically speaking, you're at a table, and one of the reasons I eat my last meal after our meal on Tuesday, is that I'm eating things that are brought in from wherever, right? Whatever restaurant the team chooses, it comes in, or we go buy some stuff. And often I'm in the position of talking to someone who says to me something like, to the order of this: "Hey, I can't cook, and so all I can eat is at the fast food restaurant." Or I love going to pick your fast food restaurant. And in their minds, when they say that, what they're essentially saying is, I can't eat anything healthy because I go to the fast food restaurant. And I'm here to tell you that is not true. Now, do I prefer you to be at the house cooking food? Sure. Do I prefer you to get food out of your garden? Sure. Do I prefer you, right? So those are preferences. But guess what? You don't have a garden. So what do we do then? You don't know how to cook certain things. We got to teach you, but what do we do until then? The least expensive thing that you think you can buy is at the fast food restaurant. So what do we do then? Right? So the stuff we're talking about has to be practical. One of the most frustrating things for patients, for clients, is for them to walk into my office and for me to say, okay, here's a list of good foods to go eat. Now go do it. And they go off and they come back. And okay, are you doing this list? It's like, no, I just couldn't, right? And they him and ha, and they're not doing it. And the phrase that we use, right? We used to call it non-compliant, right? We use non-adherent. What does non-adherent mean? It means that the patient is not following my recommendations. But guess what? The recommendations were not practical. And so until you have a practical way of doing what's on that list, guess what? We default. We default to the familiar. And so going to the fast food restaurant, hey, okay, I'll meet you where you are. Do I prefer you to have a garden? Do I prefer you to grow it? Do I prefer you to cook it? Sure. But now we can't do that. So what are we going to do? We're going to deal with whatever's there. So when you go to the restaurant, when you go to the fast food place, now let's say, okay, what is there that I can eat and what is there that I can choose from? You'll see me here in a minute that most of the time when I'm talking about balanced bites and talking about fasting and talking about breaking a fast or starting a fast, you will see a salad. Why? Not because I'm particularly fond of salads. I mean, I like them. But I sure much prefer to eat a piece of chocolate cake. Why a salad? Because a salad gives me bulk. And I understand that my body senses the fact that I'm full when there is stretch. My body sends a signal to my brain when there is stretch that I'm full. And so if I eat a salad and I get bulk and my stomach stretches, that signal goes to the brain and says, hey, don't eat that much. And so now I'm much more able, because the signal is already gone, I'm much more now able to manage the things I'm eating. So most places that you go, you can get a salad. Okay. Now, when you go there, I'm not telling you to just get a salad, but I'm saying to you, if we're making choices, probably we talk about whole foods and balanced bites, right? Probably the first thing is a salad. Yes, I said it. Can you get a salad at? Well, I'm not going to name the places, right? The other day, I started a fast, and I had from one of the local restaurants, a chain, and they brought in I had grilled nuggets and a kale salad. Who knew that they had kale salads at this place? Now, I added some other things, and go back and watch that episode, by the way, right? I added some other things to that because that wasn't going to be enough for me. But that was a choice. So wherever you go, the first thing you're looking at is I'm looking at the table of all the things that are here. I go to the buffet. I go to the fast food restaurant. The first question is, okay, what on the list fits the criteria for whole foods or as close to whole foods as possible? That's your first choice. That's the thing you start with. It doesn't mean that's the only thing. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have doesn't mean that you're not going to have a salad and then down the street or down the table, you're not going to have a piece of peach cobbler. That's not what it means. It doesn't mean that I'm going to have some greens over here and I'm not going to have some of that ice cream that's up down there. That's not what it means. It means that when I'm thinking about the food, the first thing that I will choose is whole foods. And then the next thing, I'm going to minimize processing. Now, we're talking about how we prepare for the fast. I'll minimize the processed foods. Same idea, same table, same restaurant that you go to, right? I've looked at the whole foods. Now I'm going to try to find something that is minimal processed. Doesn't mean no process. Doesn't mean that if you eat something that's processed that you're bad, that you failed. It means that as I'm looking at the food on the table, at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, as my anniversary, I'm trying to find the thing that is on the table that is minimally processed, which goes along with the whole foods. Then I'm looking for things that are not added sugar. Right? Notice it is a list. Minimize added sugar. No added sugar. Okay, let me see. What do they have over there? Okay, there you go. I'm going to have that. Oh, you're diabetic. You're not supposed to be drinking that orange juice. Oh, yeah, but this one doesn't have added sugar in it. Yep, it doesn't. So I'm going to have some. Whole foods, minimize processing, no added sugar. Lean protein and healthy fats. Lean protein and healthy fats. Now, can I raise my hand for something? When I go to the restaurant, they tell me that I'm going to talk about a steak, by the way. They tell me that a New York strip is leaner than the piece of cut that I want. And the cut I want is a ribeye. Yep. And when I go to the restaurant, I have had New York strips. I've had the cuts. I have the different ones. But my preference is for a ribeye. So when I go to the restaurant, I make choices that are consistent with me if I want the ribeye to have the ribeye and then something else. I make the choice because I'm thinking balanced bites. Hey, how do I balance this stuff out? So lean protein, healthy fats, starchy and non-starchy vegetables, portion control. The portion is important because often it's not that we're eating the wrong thing, it's we're eating too much of a thing. And I'll show you that here in just a little while. Okay? So preparing for the fast. Now, why do I spend the time talking about that one in particular, preparing for the fast and the food? Because the food that you eat in your non-fasting time, the food that you eat on a regular, the food that you eat in your eating window has tremendous implications for you getting into the fast, coming out of the fast, and how your body will respond in the fast based on what you've been doing before. And so how you eat on your quote unquote, and I'm going to stop using the word regular because it makes it sound like the fasting is irregular. In your eating window. How you eat in your eating window has tremendous implications for what you do, how your body functions in the fasting window. So balanced bites, very, very important out there so that in here, my body works well. Okay, so preparing is ultimately important, and lots of different things that you can do to prepare, but I wanted to spend some time talking specifically about food and the food that we eat and reiterate our concept of balanced bites. Very important. Okay, all right, so then as I said, we talk about fasting in three different components. The next one that we want to talk about is, what does fasting look like in the fast itself? Right? So we prepare for the fast, we successfully get into the fast, and then we break the fast. But successfully in the fast, what does that look like? And when I talk about fasting, I typically talk about it in 24-hour blocks. And I want you to begin thinking about it in 24-hour blocks. The reason for that is that understanding what happens in those 24-hour blocks, very important. And it is the starting point for our process through our Limitless Living Health Action Plan. So we tell everybody, wherever you are, if you're doing a 16-8 or 18-4 or 20-4 or one, whatever it is, we want you to work your way up so that you can fast at least 24 hours once a week. So understanding what goes on in that 24 hours, that 24-hour period is very important. Okay? And so then once we start talking about the 24-hour period, we're going to break this down into some smaller chunks. And the very first chunk is what's called the postprandial period. And the postprandial period is the time immediately following your eating. And technically, the postprandial period is not fasting. I know, right? So that period right after you finish eating is when your body is taking all the food that you just ate and it is sorting it and shuffling it into its different places that it has to go. It's sending some to your liver. It's sending, well, because it has to do glycogen, right? Not just because it's storing. It's sending some to your liver. It's sending some to your fat cells. It's sending some to your brain and some to your muscles and some to your heart and your lungs and all the parts of your body that require immediate oxygen, not oxygen, immediate energy. The body is taking it and is sending it to those different places. It's creating energy and it's sending it. I shouldn't say it's sending it because it's not like sending a piece of chicken to your heart. Right? It's converting it to energy, and the energy now is going to those places. That's what's going on in that period. It is taking, once it has taken that and sent it to the places that require energy, then the excess beyond what you ate and what's needed for energy and for immediate building gets stored. So everything you eat doesn't go to run your body, because often the body already has enough energy in it to run itself. And so many times, most of the things that we eat gets stored. If your blood sugar is 100, 130, 140, whatever it is, when you start eating, most of the food that you just ate doesn't have to go anywhere. It doesn't have to go to your organs because your blood sugar is high already. So most of that gets stored. If your blood sugar is 100, and I'm going to do some math here. Well, it's not necessarily math, but it's a concept that I want you to get. So if your blood sugar is 100, right? So we'll take that number. Actually 99. But for ease, we'll say 100. If your blood sugar is 100, and I take the sugar in your body and I dry it, break it down, and I dry it out, I would get 1 teaspoon. Blood sugar of 100, I'd get 1 teaspoon. That's 4 grams. Okay? So now, if I have a higher blood sugar, more than 4 grams, more than a teaspoon, right? Blood sugar is running 140, for example. And now I go and say I have a cup and it has orange juice in it. Or it has something that has sugar in it. When that sugar now goes into my body, the body sees it. And it says, hey, I have sugar that just came in. But my blood sugar is already 140. What do I do with the sugar that I just got? Well, my blood sugar is 140, so I don't have to use it because I already have some over here. So let me take that. What am I going to do with it? I'm not going to get rid of it. Let me package it up and let me send it somewhere. Now, we won't talk right now about where it's going, but understanding that it's not going to run your heart and your lungs and your kidneys, because I already got enough energy. And going back to our scenario about the juice or the things that we eat, if I take a typical can of soda or pop or whatever you want to call it, wherever part of the country you come from, let's see, nutritional information. And I'm not going to show this to you because I'm pulling up a particular one. Well, no, I don't want a 0 one. I want a regular one. All right, so I'll pull up a typical can of soda, right? And 12-ounce can of a regular can of this has 140 calories, 39 grams of sugar, including 39 grams of added sugar. So that what that means is that the sugar that's in there, it says 39 grams and of carbs essentially, and all of those carbs come from added sugar, the sugar that we put into the can. Okay? And we just said that a blood sugar of 100 gives me 1 teaspoon of sugar, which is equivalent to 4 grams. So it says 39 grams. So let's just make the math easy, right? So let's make it 40. So 40 divided by 4 grams, is 10. So that can of soda has the equivalent of 10 teaspoons of sugar. Right? Now, that's not to shame people who are drinking soda, but I just want you to understand that when you now drink that soda and your blood sugar is already 100, 110, 105, and for the non-diabetics, your blood sugar is 99, right? 100, essentially. When you now drink that can of soda, What do you think happens to it? Do you think it goes to run your heart and your lung and your kidney? No, the body says, okay, yeah, let's send that over there. In fact, the thing that makes the body do that is the thing that's helping lower the sugar. So now we drink a can, and if we drink that much sugar, the blood sugar is actually going to start rising. And for non-diabetics, your body does such an excellent job of bringing it down because it produces the spike in insulin, and the blood sugar comes down, and it never gets up to what's considered pre-diabetic range, right? So it doesn't go up there, or it doesn't stay there, but it gets higher than it was. Like, say your blood sugar is 60. Well, let's do 70 because 70 is normal, the bottom of normal. It's 70, you drank the can of soda, and now your blood sugar goes up to 99. It's not pre-diabetic because it's still in the normal range, but it went from 70 to 99. And then it went back down to 70. How do you think that happened? It happened because your body produced insulin. And when insulin came out, it fixed the sugar, but it says, I got to do something with the sugar that just came in. What am I do with it? I don't need it for the heart. The lungs don't have it, don't need it. The brain is already functioning well. So what do I do with that? Let's send it over there to get stored. So that postprandial period is that first 6 hours after we finish eating, where the body is processing all of that. Insulin levels are high. Blood sugars can be, and when I say high, I don't mean like 200. It is higher than it would be if you had not eaten. You have lots of energy, particularly if you've eaten carbs, because remember, carbs are like the energy source. It's like that booster when you're drag racing, like those movies, and somebody hits that switch and the car goes, right? That's sugar. That's why you drink something that has sugar and you feel good until the sugar goes down because the body dealt with it and you get that sugar crash. The next 6 hours is the early fasting stage. Now we're starting to fast. And in this phase, the body has taken all the food and has sorted it and sent it to its different places. And if it needs energy now it's going back and it's saying, hey, give me some food. Or give me some of that energy. And it's taking it out of your liver and it's taking, right? And it's burning it. But it doesn't go back to the liver until the blood sugar begins going down. And in this case, the blood sugar goes down, the insulin goes down, so the storage component is starting to go away, and then the body spikes up glucagon, and glucagon is now taking the sugar out of its storage places, and it's sending it to now be converted to actual usable energy called ATP so that the body can run. One of the other things that happens here is, remember, as a diabetic, someone who has diabetes, your body doesn't know how to handle sugar for whatever reason. We won't get into the different parts of that. The body doesn't know how to handle sugar. So whether you ate the sugar, right? So sugar comes from food, or you're stressed and cortisol goes out and causes the blood sugar to go up, or your blood sugars are now going down because you've gotten out of that postprandial period and the blood sugars have gone down, insulin's gone down, and now glucagon is coming out because glucagon is the hormone that does that. And it's now going to your liver and saying, hey, my blood sugars are going down, my heart will need some energy to function. And it goes and it pulls some sugar out of, sugar out of the liver, and it creates a spike in the blood sugar. The body doesn't know how to handle that sugar even. And so people say, well, I didn't eat anything and my blood sugar is high and it didn't get better. Well, the reason is that your body doesn't know how to handle sugar. It doesn't matter where the sugar comes from. And so our goal is to get our bodies sensitive enough, insulin sensitivity, right, to fasting, so that wherever sugar comes from, the body is now regulated in a way, And it now knows how to manage that without causing downstream problems. That's the whole idea of getting the metabolism better. Remember, metabolism is the idea of taking the food that we eat and converting it into usable energy. And because there's dysfunction along that course, the body doesn't know how to handle that. So our goal is to get the body back into its regular homeostasis. Homeostasis means normal, means same. Get it back to that space so that it can regulate and manage sugar effectively. So postprandial period, early fasting stage, that's what's going on in this space, because now the blood sugars are going down, the body's going out, and it's pulling in sugar from other places. Now, when that sugar is starting to get depleted, then we get into the next, we go 18 to 24 hours. It takes about 24 hours for the glycogen from your liver to go away. The body stores, the body stores in the liver about 100 grams of glycogen. 100 grams of glycogen. And so that takes about 24 to 36 hours to go away. So first, we got to burn the sugar that's in the blood. So blood sugar has to start going down. Then the body goes to the liver and says, hey, give me the stuff that you've got stored. And it starts using that up. That whole process, getting rid of that, takes about 24 to 36 hours. And depending on what you ate coming into the fast, if the blood sugars are much higher, it takes longer to go to the liver. So once again, how we prepare has an effect here. But when we get here, right, this is where things are starting. This is where autophagy kicks in. Autophagy is the process of going out and recycling and taking in broken, damaged cells and components and beginning to recycle them and use them in a more efficient way. This is where my inflammation begins going down. This is now where I really start to see the benefits of improved insulin sensitivity. My body's starting to take fat and burn that to create ketones. My mental clarity is starting to go up because I'm now making beta hydroxybutyrate. I'm making BDNF, which is the growth factor or the miracle grow for the brain. I'm now making connections that I couldn't make before, because not only am I seeing physical and metabolic benefits, but I'm now seeing psychological, mental, emotional benefits that's coming from fasting 24 to 36 hours. It's also the place, though, where people will find that they feel the dips as the body's transitioning from one energy source to another. And so if we're not rested, if we're not hydrated, if we've been eating a lot of highly processed, high sugary foods, this point right here can be more trying for some people. Not because fasting is an issue, but because of the way the body is making that transition and the things that we do coming into the fast. And all the benefits that we're seeing in this space right here, they just amplify as we get further and further into the length of our fasting. And just like we prepare for the fast, just like we understand what goes on in the fast with our bodies, we also want to end the fast well. We want to break the fast well. All right, so we start the fast, we get through the fast, and we break the fast. And for this, we're going to do some show and tell. You guys ready? Let's see what we got. You get to see what we're going to eat. Alrighty. And so for those of you who are out there, if you got some suggestions, I'd love to get some suggestions for food. And so, as you know, I cook once a week. Well, not once a week. I cook once a week. I make jerk chicken and curry chicken. So let's start over here. So here is a salad, and this salad is a combination of lots of different things. So there's lettuce in there, there are tomatoes, there's some cheese under there somewhere. I've got some chopped chicken, because part of the salad. So this salad I got from the cafeteria at work. So under there, right, there's some cheese and there's some boiled eggs that have been cut up. What you see topping it, these are mixed nuts, and these are at the recommendation. This is a combination salad, by the way. So one of our community members gave me the idea for a salad, but it had nuts on it. And I like the idea of having the nuts on it because it gives me protein. And we'll walk through, what's here in a minute. So that's what the salad is. And so I want to say to you that if you are breaking a fast, looking at this probably is a good meal for your first meal after the fast. Just this, if we forget about everything else that I have, this salad itself. And if you do a good job of the salad itself can suffice for the first meal. Once again, the reason I do a salad is because it gives me bulk, it gives me fiber, right, which blunts the rise of blood sugars. And looking at the salad, the only thing in here that would be considered processed would be the dressing. And the dressing is like a lemon Italian something that our community members suggested. Well, the salad dressing and maybe the cheese. And the salad dressing probably has some sugar in it. So whole foods, everything else, minimize processing, right? The salad dressing would be processed. The cheese would be processed. Now the mixed nuts, I'm sure they did some processing on that as well, because it didn't come right off the tree or off the vine. It was, in a bag. But the lettuce, tomatoes, what else? And the eggs. All of the other components of this: lean protein, healthy fats, non-starchy vegetables. I don't have a lot of starchy vegetables in here, but that's the salad. Now let me put that off to the side. And so for protein, right, this is some curry chicken, right, and that looks good. So I'm gonna sure have some of this. This is curry chicken. So whole foods, right? Lean protein, so it's chicken. Healthy fats, sure. There's no starchy or non-starchy vegetables here, and portion control. Now, well, I'll make the point about portion in a minute. Okay? And then I have, this is actually greens. The color in the camera doesn't show that, but this is some collard greens, and this is some sauteed mushrooms. So if I wanted, this could be a meal. This could be a meal. This could be a meal. Right? And as you're looking at this, right? As you're looking at this all is food that I like. And it's not like, well, I'm enduring it. This is stuff that I personally, I made that, my wife made that, I made that. This is stuff that I made. And so as you're thinking about your meals, right, stuff that you like to eat, how can I make it in a way that's healthier, right? So one of the things I had to do was adjust how I cook my curry, because I used to put a lot of oil. Yeah, this is a thing, right? Just put a lot of oil. Or even when I was sauteing the mushrooms, right? I started put oil in there because I wanted hot, and then put those mushrooms in there and get the onions and the garlic and so forth. So I've had to adjust that, but the food itself is stuff that I love to eat. And so I'm not eating anything that is like out of the ordinary, that's like, I don't like that stuff, but it's healthy for me, I'm going to go eat it. No. So I want you to be able to do things that are things you can do forever. So if there's something that you like, if there's a dish that you like, let's figure out how to make the dish healthier. People say to me, "Oh, I'm never going to eat such and such again because that really raises my blood sugar." I said, "Well, hold on. That's certainly doable, and I never want to knock anybody who says they're not going to eat something, right? Don't want to do that. But rather than that, why don't we figure out how to make it healthy? Make a healthier version of it. Like we got one of our community members, and his wife makes the best creme brulee that I've had. And it's healthy. Figure it out. Because that's what Limitless Living says, right? Right here, right? Oh, over here. No, over this way. Boom, right there. That's what it says. That we're not letting anything inhibit us. Nothing stop us. Nothing is going to stop me from doing what I need to do to be healthy. That means learning how to create foods that maybe I don't normally create, making them healthier so that I can be consistent with the balanced bites idea. All right. So having said that, I've been waiting to take a bite of this. So let's go there. Let's see. What should I eat first? There we go. I'm gonna have some mushrooms. Oh yeah. So that's the idea of breaking the fast. The same things, and I want you to notice a theme, right? And the reason I went through the food at the beginning is because the same food that you ate back there to start the fast, same food you can eat here to end the fast, and the same food you can eat in your regular eating window. It's not 3 sets of food. It's all the same. This is so good. Okay, and then salad. So the point I wanted to make, and let me go back there. The point I wanted to make about the food is I can easily sit down and eat this and eat a lot of it because I tell myself it's healthy. Right? I know I've done it. I was like, oh yeah, that's healthy for me, so I can eat a lot more of it. That's not the idea that we want. We still want appropriate portions. Because sometimes, once again, it's not that we're eating the wrong thing, but we're eating too much of that thing. Even a salad. So we want to have an appropriate understanding of portions. Several months ago now, I went on a trip to Europe. Went to England, London. I went to France. And I went to the restaurant and ordered some stuff. And the food was delicious. But when they brought the food to me, I looked at it and I thought to myself, where's the rest? Because I was used to, we are, used to certain certain portion sizes. If it's not covering the plate, it's not enough. And the visual cue of the plate sometimes will make us eat more. Because we think because it's on the plate, that is a portion, and that's how much I'm supposed to eat. So we have to get into the habit of adjusting our concept of what a portion is. This is delicious. Okay. Oh, I haven't had any of the curry yet. Oh yeah. Okay. One more bite, one more bite. Every bite counts, right? Delicious. So how we prepare for the fast, how we break the fast, how we prepare for the fast, how we get through the fast, and how we break the fast all are important, because that's what helps us to be successful in our quest to right our metabolism. And so when we talk about that, what we really probably should say, we should talk about the fasting cycle, preparing for it, surviving it, and succeeding. If you follow the plan, if you are mindful, then the benefit that you get, the result that you get, will be in keeping with what we say we want to have. And that, after all, is what Limitless Living says, that we're doing everything we can to be successful in our metabolic space. I'm not letting anything stop me from doing that. So we'll continue talking more about fasting as we continue in our shows, continue in our check-ins and so forth. Everything that I talk about falls into our Triple E formula for success. It is the way that I think. It is the way that I process. It is the way that I explain. It is the way that we lay things out. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, with the blogs, with the podcasts. We empower with the tools that we learn. And we encourage with the community that you're a part of. Your job is to take action on the things you're learning. The health action plan. That's an action word. That means you give power to the things that we do when you infuse it with your behavior. Otherwise, it's just theory. And as you get benefit, as you grow, as you see improvement, you want to then turn and say to someone else, come along with me on this journey. Limitless Living says that. I'm always excited when I get to hang out with you. I do see some of our community members out there, so let me say hi really quickly. Let's see. I see Steve. Steve says hello. Let me do one thing really quickly. get rid of that one. And okay, here we are. So Steve says hello. And then Cornelia says, hi, Doctor Steve and LLG. Let's get that one up there. Show what's going on here. And then Steve says, hello, Cornelia. So hello to everyone that is there. Glad that you have joined us. Glad that you are in this space with us. And glad that you are walking along this path with us in this direction. And that you have taken the time, you've taken the onus on yourself to improve your health. By being here, by continuing to walk along the path, you're saying, yes, that I'm willing to do what I need to do to be healthy. As I said, I'm always glad to be with you, always glad to walk this path with you. And we are walking the path of limitless living, which says that we're not allowing anything to prevent us from doing what we need to do. Nothing outside, nothing inside. We're breaking through those boundaries. We're getting out of the constraints. We're pushing through those obstacles, and we're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our life. And we are living limitlessly. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. We'll see you over the course of our series and our shows. On tomorrow night at 9 p.m., we have video from the vault. On Sunday morning, 6 a.m. Central, we have This Week in Review. And then we'll be right back here for Dwain Woode MD Live on Monday as we continue our walk to reverse our metabolism, or reverse our diabetes, improve our metabolism, and grow healthier in this space. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you later.